What's going on, everybody? It is it's 7:30. That doesn't get any later each week, which is unfortunate. I was hoping it would. It's 7:30 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Man, I'm waking up. I'm like, you remember like the first day of school, you get up early and you're all ready. Then like the second day, you're like, yeah, not so bad. By the end of the first week, you're like, all right, I got 4 minutes to get to the bus stop. I'm rolling out of bed and boom, I'm going to be right. And that's how it feels.
It's the third episode, Adam. Come on now.
I know. Well, maybe it's a good sign. I'm getting a little bit comfortable. I'm like, we can do this. We've got it figured out. And it's nice because this show actually takes a little bit less show prep. Now, I hope that doesn't translate to like lower quality. I think it takes less show prep because it's less of a deep dive, more of a hanging out and what's going on. So
yeah, Joe's just hanging out with stupid old Joe. Doesn't know anything about reptiles.
It's not stupid old Joe. This is I've been working on my I do put effort into this show. I got to work on my delivery because I can't like announce that something like that I've been working on this, but I have. So I'm calling this episode the Joe Mance, just so you know. We're gonna get you guys in a fine Joe Mance. Get ready. That's what we're gonna do on Thursday morning.
We were just talking just before. So Adam and I get on, a little bit before and talk a little bit. And Adam was talking about how he gets like, even like he's been doing this for 2 years on even his other show, 2 years, he gets like a little antsy, like right before. And I get a little antsy too. And then, and right when the intro started, you said, okay, we're doing this. And you went live, the intro started and everything froze on my screen.
Oh, and no, did it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I thought,
and
I
then
thought
so, but we're back. We're ready to go. We're ready to roll. And the thing about, I heard this one time. So it's not true. I just heard it probably at a bar somewhere.
Right. You probably heard it on the internet then. Okay.
So no, this person told me one time that there are day people, and there are night people. And it's ingrained into our like anthropology. It's like the
okay.
So because there were people who needed to stay up late to overnight to protect the things in the settlement area, right?
Yeah.
For the people that were living together. So I'm definitely the protector of the things at night.
Right.
7:30. It's not good for me.
I like to protect the house with my guitar and a glass of wine. Those are my weapons of choice. And,
I'm sure. Yeah, that's why this person. It was probably midnight or 1 a.m. Somebody said this to me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's right.
That's what we're doing." Yeah, Bold Coast brings up a great point. I was a night person, and then I had kids. Yeah, and then I threw 2 dogs into the mix that apparently think that 6:30 is their entitlement to go out. And that's actually fine because Kelly and I kind of have a deal that I handle the snakes and Kelly handles the dogs by and large. And they're still my pets too, but I don't deal with the 6:30 walks in the morning. Well, Kelly's out of town and I think it's been a weird week for me too. We didn't even get into this. Charlie hit his face so hard that we had to go to the dental emergency. And then twice I've been back, and then they send us to the endodontist. So his front teeth they're still in, but they're all moving. They're wiggly. Of course, they're the adult teeth. They put on like temporary braces on him and to hold it in place so that they're what they're worried about is the soft tissue. Didn't break any of the roots, but they're all wiggly. Like you can move all of them. Yeah. And So he's going through a heck of a lot of pain. So like,
oh man,
yeah, it's just kind of a weird week. And then what you guys got going? I know you had some stuff going on too.
Yeah, we had a little bout of COVID this week. So yeah, I thought that was done. Somebody told me that was done.
Yeah, it's back. I've heard. I'm sorry. All joking aside, I'm sorry it's going through the house. And so have you dodged it?
I have, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
to this point, yeah.
But I did hear, I was with somebody, one of the clients at Gulf Coast Accounting Tax.
Okay.
For all of your accounting needs, if you need.
Right. They should. I'm telling you, you should have a little logo up there or a link. Yeah,
I'm getting a hat embroidered, so maybe I'll wear it.
Oh, that's yeah. You know, and actually, yeah, that's how you sneak it in. So I got this. Trying to get the logos here. Yeah, I got this shirt from Pressure Pythons. I figure I'll leave the chef coat for the Tuesday night and the the vending shows. So I get a lot of t-shirts, and I'm kind of a t-shirt junkie. So that's cool.
So I had a client come in last week, and she said that she had gotten COVID earlier in the month, and so it was done with her, but I didn't catch it from her. I wasn't the one who brought it in the house. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a bad, like a weird, like, it wasn't me. I'm sorry, I wasn't the one who was. Could
you imagine? Like 10 years ago
or something.
Like 10 years ago, there was somebody like a comedian or something that was like, we're gonna have fights, and we're gonna have fights over a pandemic, and it's gonna be we're gonna blame each other, and we're gonna yell at each other who brings this disease into the house. We'll all be like, this guy sucks. And now we're like, yeah, I remember that happened.
Well, she told me that this new subvariant is called the Kraken. So I thought that was.
Sounds a little aggressive. Like, do you think?
Apparently, it is aggressive.
Well, that's true. Yeah, maybe they're like, yeah, that's why we named it that, Adam. But do you think that they're like, well, maybe we're not getting through to people. Maybe Delta and Omicron isn't scary enough. So, like, do you think that they're like, all right, let's talk to a millennial. Like, let's get aggressive on this. Remember when?
Yeah. What would be the next subvariants then? It would be. This one's called Godzilla.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
This one's called the Mike Myers.
So what you don't know is that there's a really like beautiful ball python combination that's nicknamed the Kraken as well. Like, it's really? Like, yeah, there's a guy named and now the audience is going to laugh because they're going to be like, ooh, a guy named Justin Kabilka. He's the biggest, he's the biggest innovator in our whole industry. Like,
I better write that down. What is it? Justin?
Yeah. We don't even say his last name. We just call him
just Justin.
No, seriously.
It's like Cher.
Yeah. Well, not quite, although that's pretty funny. But if you knew him, he's really like pretty low key and laid back. He's very unshare like. But like, if you say Justin in the hobby and it's not Kabilka, then you have to say like. So when I say Justin gave me this shirt, I have to say Justin Pressure Pythons, because otherwise everybody assumes that it's Justin Kabilka. So he's an incredible innovator. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's one of the guys that brought our industry to the forefront. And he makes just incredible snakes to this day. And he has he's been the leader he kind of ushered in, there's like the old guard, and he kind of ushered in, hey, we could do this above water. We could do this in a really innovative way. And oh, by the way, these are the baddest ass snakes you've ever seen in your life.
Wow,
and
that's cool. That's really cool.
That's him. I mean, there's arguably 1 to 3 other players that are maybe as. I guarantee you he's on every person's Mount Rushmore if you were to make one. So anyway,
that's so cool. So he
has a combination called the Kraken. Okay. So when you brought that up, I was like, oh, here we go.
This is because I'm Joe needs to know. So this is like I was thinking about this past weekend, and this is not my inquiry for the week.
Many questions.
But here's this question. Because that's like, to be an innovator in any industry is like something like career-wise that people will like want to do, like, or maybe they don't, I don't know, maybe, but like ambitious people that go, I want to be, a great lawyer, or I just watched Better Call Saul for the first time. So that's on my brain.
Yeah.
I want to be this, or like I want to be a great this or that, or like do you ever think like when you were a kid, like, boy, I'd really love to be a great ball python
No,
breeder?
no, not
Like,
once. No.
is that like a common, like people go, I really want to be a fireman or a
I
cop
think,
or something. Is
yeah.
that prevalent in the industry?
Yeah.
Like to have those aspirations as a child and then
Yes.
realize them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a bit of an outsider where like, I'm like, they were cool. I had them as pets. And now in COVID, I really fell in, like, I love them. I don't think I love them any less than anybody else, but I'm not the guy that from like 4 years old was whispering snakes in the woods. Like
And
I would run across them and they were neat. I thought they were cool, but I
so
wasn't
that's
like, yeah, but there are, most people in the industry are that way. Yeah. They're,
really
oh
like
yeah.
they, from a
Most of,
young age, they go, they this, and then they love it, and then they go, this is what I'm gonna do,
yeah.
or this is gonna be a part of my life forever.
Yeah, and I see it at the shows too, where the kids come up and they're like, "Man, I could just dream about what's this, what we're gonna do in the future." So,
Okay,
no,
well, follow up
yeah,
question then.
okay,
Follow up question. I'm more energetic than I thought I would be this morning.
you're feeling it this morning, man. Hey, we got
So,
Portugal back in the house. I'm loving this. So we
oh,
get the
look at
Western,
this
yeah, we get the Western Europe lunchtime gig. This is great.
beautiful
What's
afternoon.
up, Warga? I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, and I love the Portuguese accent. It has a little bit of a nasal, like so you'd say "chatao." It's a cool thing. So I don't know what it means, but I love the sound of it.
So follow up question to my question:
Yeah.
Is it like a family thing? Like, do you go, oh, my father had, or my mother had reptiles, and I have to learn like my father learned, and
No.
his father learned from his father,
This is
like that
how
kind of
my
thing?
grandma met my granddad. We were pulling eggs. No,
Right. Is it like a family thing sometimes?
no,
No.
no. It's a family thing going forward, but I can't think of anybody who's like second gener. The industry just didn't exist. What you got to realize is like the internet and the accessibility that we have in the past 10 years caused this industry to absolutely boom. Everything before then, it was underground. There was like 2 magazines that you could place a classified ad in.
Okay.
And like the stories you hear are incredible. Like shipping snakes in a hollowed out phone book after somebody else had mailed $25,000 in cash, hoping that other person wouldn't steal their money. And like, and really the way to buy was at these very few reptile shows. There was only a couple of them around the country. That's how Daytona got so notorious. And people would bring 50, 100 grand to Daytona because there was no other time in a year to buy. Like you made all your money in one pop, and you spent all your money in one pop. So this it's really amazing when I run into people, and I know a few of them that have been breeding for 40, 50 years commercially, especially here in Florida. There's a few really, really notorious long timers. And when you meet them, you start thinking like, this sounds like living on the Oregon Trail. Like, how the hell did you make this a business before the internet? So but there's a lot of things that way. I mean, how do we drive in it? We used to all go to AAA to get maps and have them help us on our trip. Like what? Holy cow! Like life was hard,
Do you ever see, how like people go, like they like a thing because it's like not mainstream? Like there's a comment.
Oh yeah, big time.
That it's getting more and more mainstream from Bold Coast Exotics. I don't know who that is. What's the name behind that?
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
no,
how it gets like more and more mainstream, right? So do you ever see a possibility of like, people like it because it's not mainstream, so they go, and then when it does get mainstream, it's like, everybody's doing that now. It's not like that though, right?
Yeah, there's that attraction. So it has that like remember like the early days of like alternative music or
Yeah,
punk
like
rock,
grunge.
you know?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't like Green Day anymore. They sold out. Well, okay.
Yeah.
The music it's the same song they put on that
Right.
album that you liked, you know?
Right.
So there is that factor to it, but I equate what I feel, in my opinion, of what I feel we need to accomplish is making it normalized and mainstream. And I use the example of what happened. I don't know if YouTube will get on us. We'll say recreational plant use, that whole industry and lobby. If you think about 20 years ago or 25 years ago, everybody thought of what Spicoli and Cheech and Chong.
Right. Yeah.
Now we've seen that, hey, if it's well regulated, if it's normalized, if it's shown to have its values and it's not this demon, is THC in the room with you kind of scary thing, you know, and I think our version of that is what we're breeding and selling aren't these aggressive, problematic animals that we only see on the news. And that by the way, guys, go back to last episode with Daniel Parker. Actually, this will tie in very nicely.
Yeah.
He put some clarifying comments in the YouTube comments. He's from US Arc, guys. And I thought it was really, really great. I really appreciate the critique, I guess. I wouldn't call it, he wasn't criticizing in it. But he said, you know, to just call iguanas invasive species, what does that mean? Well, our definition and the legal definition of invasive species, I did a little more research, includes the harmful effects. There's no proof that there's any harmful effects to various ecosystems. And if so, that gets right to the heart of the question of what's invasive and what's not. And we could dive into the whole of, are humans an invasive species? Yeah, probably. And we don't know how they got here. In this world of international trade, there's flights, there's boats, the ballasts of these cargo ships take in Olympic-sized swimming pools amount of water. You're going to get lionfish in there and all of that. So anyhow, go back and read his comments, because it was really clarifying, and it was really cool to see. But that's the thing. We can say it's so easy to go, well, it's invasive, and then this harmful, scary thing gets attached to it, versus, hey, there's a species that's displaced, that's thriving.
Well, it's like Daniel was great. It was great talking to him last week and hearing what US Arc Florida does and US Arc across the country. I thought it was awesome, and that he came back and he put those comments in there and clarified stuff. I thought it was really even keeled. And like the thing that I think like about this community as I get to know it more and more is like it's something that people love to do. That's different. That's different from what most people do. So why does it need to be demonized? Like, why does it need to be like, well, I mean, I guess there's some biblical elements that
I was going to say there's the whole fall of humanity narrative.
Oh yeah, there is that.
Yeah, that I'm not going to go into, but
but even when we were talking about like bringing up COVID and what to talk about with COVID, like there's a spectrum of thoughts about COVID, but that your perspective might be different from mine. But why do we need to go, well, if your perspective is different, then you're stupid and you're the da, 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 da. It's like we just need to talk a little bit more and trust each other a little bit more, you know?
I think the internet and social media does wonderful things. It's allowed me to start a new career and to pursue this way. But it takes away any depth to conversation, and it causes people to go immediately to, you're the enemy, because it's hard to have a depth of conversation in a comment section versus hanging out at an industry party many states away and having some beers with people and going, wait a minute, we're pretty damn similar. Like, you know what I mean? So to wrap up the other part real quick, H&H pipe. So yeah, my case in point, This is me filling in my own narrative, but this happened right in this is in the county that I lived in. H&H Python says they just found like 24 ball pythons in Florida. Yeah. Somebody released their pets. They abandoned them, or, I don't even believe they were negligent enough to get out on their own, because if you all have had ball pythons, even if one gets out, you find it like 6 feet from where you started, a couple days later. So these are out and about in a neighborhood. I think somebody abandoned their pets, and yeah, they found 24 of them. And the unfortunate thing is the news is covering it like, just scared neighbors are terrified. And it even was like they found one under the hood of their car. But because of no education, nobody knows that literally a ball python, just walk up behind it, pick it up, and put it in a grocery bag, and it's done. And the thing too, here in North Florida, not that I would wish this, and it is cruel to these animals to be abandoned. We have hard freezes up here. We have ice. They're not going to live through the winter. There's no viability for those animals to be harmful, to establish their wild feralness. That's not going to happen. But yeah, it's a headline. It's up on my news feed. H&H pythons. What state are you in, H&H? So yeah, that's the stuff that I hate to see. And that's what you would see 20 years ago. Oh, we found 10 people using pot. Now it's like, yeah, okay, you're gonna be okay, Gramps. You're just fine, Okay, yeah. So H&H is up in Michigan. They made that. The Michigan news picked it up from. I bet most of us in the audience have more than 24 ball pythons, and we're all rolling our eyes. But the news in Michigan picked it up 2,000 miles away. Ball pythons all over North Florida neighborhood, and people are terrified. So I do work to educate people. I work to show people that these are pets. And they're great pets, and they're great to learn from, and they're great to have in classrooms, and they're beautiful, and all of those things. So it's a slow process, but that's again part of why USARK is important. So
yeah, I wanted to ask you as well. Do you know how the auction went? Because we've talked a lot about the auction was going to be this past weekend, right?
I do. I don't know all the details. So the whole auction altogether eclipsed $16,000. Not the guitar, the whole auction altogether, all the animals. Chris at BNS Reptilia, I know that Chris donated some animals. Chris, the sponsor on the other show, and a good friend, so I have no problem shouting that out. But thanks for adding and helping that cause, Chris. The guitar, I don't know the final outcome. I know that the final bid on it was $2,100, which is cool. That $2,000 for anything is a lot of money, especially guitar. And that's about at retail what that guitar would be worth. On the used market, it'd be a little bit less. And then you add the value of the charity component and then the historical signature. So I would have put it a little bit higher, but it didn't reach the reserve price. And I don't know, oftentimes what happens when it doesn't reach the reserve price, the seller will contact the two highest bidders and either say, hey, we got pretty close, I'll honor it, or hey, can we do a little bit better, or where can we get? So I don't know where the guitar ended. I'll have to message Daniel this week and find out where the guitar ended up.
Gotcha.
And what's going on.
Cool.
Let's see. Yeah, Keith says they find ball pythons and boa along the riverbed. There's a military base. People get deployed and they release the snakes, So, Stan, have a great day, brother. Thanks for hanging out this morning. I'll see you in Daytona in a couple of weeks, man. Should we? Let me see. I'm looking at my notes here.
I do want to just follow up with that one comment because is there? So let's say that there is reason to get out of the industry or get out of the hobby.
Right.
Well, what's the humane? What's the right thing to do if you need to unload your creatures, your reptiles?
Yeah, really, really good point. And actually, we could we could and should do a whole show on that.
Okay, all right.
So I don't, no, that I want, but I do want to answer it though, because this comes up a lot. So if anybody's watching or anybody, you know, this comes up in their community, local reptile groups on Facebook, you could absolutely give away a collection and not disown it. What I think happens, and this is me filling in my own narrative, what I think happens is it's a slow decline of, okay, I want to get out. It's not just an overnight thing. So you don't go from being a perfect keeper to getting rid of it. Now, as a breeder, oftentimes that happens. So like even myself, I'll buy collections from other breeders where they've been handled correctly. They've been handled perfectly. They're healthy snakes, and it's an operation versus a pet group. But I think what happens is the collection goes into decline. The work becomes overwhelming, and they start to deteriorate. And what I imagine happens is that there is a fear of shame. There's a fear of rightly so being called out. Imagine if you had a dog that was unhealthy that you said, hey, now I want to offer it for adoption, guys. You have to look into the eyes of people who really love these snakes, and they're going, this is gross what you're doing to these animals. And I think it's easier for them to go, they're harmless, they'll die, we're out. And that's of course torturous, and it's cruel. So what they should do is reach out to local Facebook groups. There's always a local keepers that will take in free animals for sure. I don't want to speak for local pet shops, but I know that there's an avenue, even our local in town, there's an avenue that they'll take surrendered animals. They might not buy them, but they will take surrendered animals. And I don't know what circumstances and conditions, so I don't want to speak for them and guarantee that, but that's out there. You can Google herpetological societies. They'll help with it. And you can call your local animal shelter and SPCA. You know, I mean, these are pets and they do have avenues for it. Also give your local exotic vet a call. Here in Jacksonville, we have two that are very, very good. One, like nationally renowned, but two very, very good, and they'll have resources as well. So you got to do the work. It's again, I like challenging people to substitute dog for snake. What would you do, and what would be the humane way to do it? And we can do that. Yeah, H&H pythons. It's great. We have an alligator sanctuary here in Michigan. It was a big thing, and I guess in Detroit, but it was a big thing for a while that people were getting pet alligators, and then they realized that's just not a feasible idea. And alligators can actually live below, they freeze with their snout just above the ice, and they can bring their heart rate down to about once a minute, and they survive the winter. So there's definitely an alligator sanctuary in Michigan.
I got somebody asking me a question here.
Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. So this is another thing I think that we do. We do with, and I appreciate the question. Definitely, this is our friends in.
This is our Portuguese correspondent, our man in Portugal. Yeah, our man in Lisbon. Are you in Lisbon? Where are you at, Lorga? Yeah.
So so this question, I have to say, I don't know. I don't, because I'm new to this, so
you got to read it out loud. We might have people that are just
Mr.
on
Joe,
audio only.
what are your thoughts on the strictness of borders closing, affecting the import of reptiles to the Russian market? Thank you in advance. So I don't know. I'm new to this. I don't know anything about it. So that's something that I think in our conversations sometimes we're afraid to say, and I simply don't have enough knowledge to talk about that. But maybe Adam does. I don't know. I don't mean to put you on the spot here, Adam.
Oh, he's in Moscow. Wow, I didn't know you were in Moscow. Okay, so our Portuguese expat in Moscow. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about that. So I'm assuming that Lorga is your first name, but my apologies if it's not. I don't know if that means something else or not. But Lorga, in the States, it's a pretty massive country, and we have these individual states, but that's not like a border crossing like it would be in Europe into other countries. And like the EU is similar to the US in that manner, that there's open borders, but they're not open borders. So I think I can only imagine the geopolitical challenges of getting anything in and out of Russia right now. And I don't know what circumstances you're in Russia under, but I know that the outward perception of the world, just because of let's call it what it is, the invasion of Ukraine, that there's a rough perception on Russia. So I don't know. I have no idea what to think about. I couldn't tell you. I don't know, man. Let's see. It says it was good for local breeders. Prices went up. $150 for normals. Nice. No more smuggling here. So is it above water? Yeah. So it's above. I don't know if that translates. So it's legal now to breed and sell in Russia, or are you having to smuggle and be underground, so to speak? We get like 4 conversations going. Yeah. That's Tito at Tradesman. Guys, if you didn't get a chance, go check out the episode from Texoma Exotics. Tito was on last night with Holly. Good show, and it's worth checking out. And Tito's a great guy locally here with me. He says supposedly that person that released the animals was trying to sell his collection on local groups, and no one bought it, so he released them. Yeah, I think that there's a space in between selling and releasing that would be surrender for free and walk away. And actually, not that I want to ever. I don't like doing business with Florida Wildlife Commission. Florida Wildlife Commission has an amnesty hotline. You can say, and ball pythons aren't even illegal, but even if you had, say, a Burmese python that is illegal, you can surrender your animals to Florida Wildlife. Now, I think they'll kill them, but you can at least it would be more humane than sticking them out to fight the neighborhood cats is what's going to happen to those ball pythons that were released. So anyway, there we go. Yeah, I'm intrigued by the European Russian ball python trade. Man, that's I
mean, it makes sense what you're saying is, if there's not imports, right? So it needs to be created locally, so prices go up for the local breeders. That makes sense. I wonder if Lorga is a local breeder or
yeah,
or
I don't know. We might have to have Lorga on if one of these cool. What's going on the ground in Russia. Like, I'm intrigued. Like, man, I love culture and travel and all that. But so back to the show. So, Joe, did I hear, am I right? Next week you have a schedule conflict. You're not going to be on? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure if that was the COVID related thing or if that got, okay. So next week.
No, I have something scheduled. Yeah.
Yeah. So next week we need to find out who's going to be our everyday Joe. Maybe we'll bring in a ringer that knows a little bit more about snakes. I don't know. We'll see.
Wait, you guys are already tired of somebody who doesn't know about snakes and reptiles?
No, dude, did you see the comments from last week? Like, I got to admit, I was a little jealous. You're getting all the love, man.
All right.
Yeah,
the Joe-mance. The Joe-mance is brewing.
The Joe-mance is brewing,
the cup
man.
Of Joe.
People are running on Joler power, man. This
is actually water now. This is actually water. I should just set up a coffee maker on my desk.
A little IV drip, yeah. All right, so next week we'll figure out what to do in Joe's absence. I'll sort that out. And actually, corresponding with that, on Tuesday night, I've got to travel this week. Taylor at Chakra Scales is going to guest host Proper Royals live, so he will hold down the fort for me this week as well.
All right. Why is that? Is there some? I saw that there was a little bit of news that you were gonna.
There is a little bit. Yeah, I promise you guys, this was not a clickbait major announcement. Oh, I got some hatchlings. Yeah, we all have hatchlings. So, except for Joe, but Joe one day will have hatchlings. Maybe we can hope. Maybe not. Yeah. Okay. So, if we had like the dun 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 breaking news segment, here we go at the top of the hour. It's 8:04. And by the way, thanks for watching, everybody. 21 viewers at pretty early in the morning. So we're steadily growing. This is good stuff. Look, here's the official announcement. You heard it here probably first. I've talked to a few local friends and really close counterparts about this, close colleagues, counterpart, whatever the word is. Me, my family, my wife, my son, the Shiras, we're moving, we're relocating. We are, I don't seem to do things in moderation, which I really strive to in life, but this is not a moderate move. We're moving, and we are moving to Minnesota. We are up and out of Florida. And that's not really anything against Florida. It's a great opportunity for my family. Kelly's family is from Minnesota. The finances work pretty well. We can get quite a bit more house in Minnesota than we can here in Florida. And we kind of miss the seasons a little bit, although that's going to be a pretty aggressive change in seasons. Gotta say.
Yeah, just move up half the country. That's all.
I know, but like
North Carolina or
what
something.
am I going to do in Missouri or something? No, no, I'm joking.
Oh, North, you've heard of it.
Yeah, no. But Kelly's family is in Minnesota. And this is going to go fast. I'm going to do Daytona here in Florida. And then the move goes pretty fast. We're heading up to Minnesota. I actually am going to make a trip before Daytona this Sunday. I'm actually heading out to begin moving the collection of animals. So I'll leave the show stock here in Florida, and then I'll be moving my breeders and holdbacks, the animals that are not for sale, and all that equipment. The sink is coming with me. I want everybody to be, you're good on you'll still get the sink pictures. Joe's like, what are you talking about?
The sink. Yeah.
I might not have the best snakes in the business, but I'm pretty high on the list of best sinks, man. H&H says, are you stressed to move the snakes? I'm stressed to move the snakes, but they're pretty hardy. So my stress points are wondering how it's going to affect my upcoming breeding season. I'm confident I can get the snakes there safely and in a healthy way. I rented a temperature controlled high roof. It's not a Sprinter. It's the Dodge version, the ProMaster, but the high like cargo van, temperature controlled. Let's see. Does that mean the show is canceled in Jax? Yeah, the October thing that I was putting together. Yeah, it is. I was really excited about that. That I got to leave on the table.
I was excited about that too. I thought I'd meet some of these folks.
Man. Well, I'm gonna fit in the kitchen. Yeah, moving everything in the kitchen sink. That's right. There we go.
So I got it. So what are we talking about here? Sinks.
Oh, my sink. It's a commercial restaurant kitchen sink, man. This sink is stainless steel, 8 feet long, power. Pull down the
right.
spread.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And that's
important for your collection.
To me, it is. It's not as important as I think it is, because clearly most people don't need that, and they do just fine without it. I like it for cleaning, drying, moving. It's a real hassle. So the tubs, like most tubs, are about 2.5 to 3 feet deep. So like even thinking that you're going to clean that like in your kitchen sink, plus ideally you don't want, in a perfect world, you don't want snake waste and stuff with your kitchen sink, ideally, So
can you see, like, when I smelled that snake poo for the first time,
you were blown away. You were like, "That's the size of a dog poo." I was like, "Yeah, that's a serious poo, man."
Like I'm having a visceral reaction just thinking about it. It was pretty rough. And you were like, hey, sorry, man.
Yeah, that's what, well, they do poo.
No.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, but it's just like us. There's a book about it if you haven't seen it. It's called Everybody Poos. Yeah. Yeah, no, Cuddle Time Critters says don't knock Missouri. I'm not. I was just thinking of like the most central state I could find. I actually have not been there. I'm excited. I'll be driving through Missouri, so I get to experience Missouri on my way up to Minnesota. I should be cruising through Missouri midday on Monday, some point in time. So,
well, when you told me last week, I was like, damn it. How long have you been in Florida? This last stint in Florida?
The last stint in Florida is almost 2.5 years already, believe it or not.
2.5 years. I can't. So ever since you got to Florida, it's just been so much fun having you here, even though you're still 3 hours away from me, but it's just been great. So there's a bitter sweetness to this, definitely. I'm so happy for you moving and doing what you need to do, and just so happy. And Minnesota, there's some family up there too, I think, that you have there. So
yeah, exactly.
Just so happy, but definitely gonna miss you here. Definitely gonna miss you here in Florida.
Thank you, man. I know that, I think we used this example when we were chatting too. Like life seems to usually break. I like the 80-20 rule in life. And that to me is like, hey, if I'm 80% happy or satisfied, I probably can figure out the other 20%. And that also works with like, hey, you're going to have 20% of dissatisfaction with almost anything. But you and Chelsea were absolutely like at the high end of what made me really happy here, because I could do shows and then come hang out with you guys. And I mean, like live music gigs and reptile shows. You were like my Tampa Bay hub. So it always saved me money. I say that it didn't save me money because then we would just eat like 2-inch thick steaks and drink really good wine. And I was like, hey, it's cheaper than a hotel. May as well enjoy life. And we did. And it was fantastic. So I want to be able to do that again and a lot, but it just won't be as often. So, but the cool thing, like this day and age of like doing these kind of shows, airlines, Minneapolis, a good hub. Summers there are really nice. People can come hang out. Yeah. So let's burn through some of these questions really quick. How far is Minnesota from Tinley? That's 5.5 hours. So my new model is going to be vending Illinois, Wisconsin, some Michigan shows, then south to Iowa, Nebraska, and actually as far down, I could be to Kansas City in 8 hours. So I think that whole swath is viable vending areas. And I still want to be doing one show a month. One vending show a month. And so I'll be out and about, and I can't wait to get into that market. It's a whole different place. I've heard, Joe, I know you're not familiar, but a massive, like the second or third or first, some people would argue, most important show, reptile show in the country or the world, is in a place called Tinley, Illinois, just outside of Chicago.
Okay.
It's not impossible. It's challenging to get into to vend. So I got to work on those angles and relationships, but there's some counterpart shows in another place called Schaumburg. There's one in St. Louis put on by those same folks. Now St. Louis is, I think, about a 12-hour haul. So I probably won't vend St. Louis for a bit. But I'm making enough consistently where hotels are going to start to make sense, or finding an Airbnb to split or whatever it might be. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there to new markets for sure.
So a couple questions. I probably already know the answer to this, but are you seen as a competitor as a vendor? Like, I'm sure this will be like, you're coming into my areas of vending from Cuddle Time Critters. Like that seems like a happy comment.
I was going to say, I take that as a happy comment. Yeah.
But like other vendors, would they go, oh, Adam's coming to town, he's a competitor? No, it's not like that. I can't believe you. Yeah.
I would be seen more that way if I started another podcast show on another night. They'd be like, he's coming to take our space or something. I'm not an influential enough breeder. I don't think there's things that have caught me off guard that people do think about me, which I'm like, I didn't know that was an issue.
So that's my second question. Follow up to that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You want to finish your thought? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no, it's all good. No, there's like a camaraderie among the vendors, and just from simple math, like at Daytona, there's 700 vendors. If somebody's threatened by a vendor, don't vend at these shows. Like that,
Okay.
It's not a. Now there are a couple. I think the word bully has gotten thrown out of whack or taken way too far sometimes, but there are a few vendors that I just tell to move on from my table when they come by now, that have kind of tried to impose themselves or intimidate or whatever, when you're first starting out, but like, screw them. Like, no. So by and large, no, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I'll run into any, we don't want you here. You're not our people.
Okay.
I can't imagine that scenario. Maybe I could be dumbfounded, check with me in 3 months, but I cannot imagine that scenario one bit.
Okay. All right. Second question.
Yeah.
So you know how you go on social media sometimes and there are these lists that pop up like the 25 best beers ranked or something like that. Is there something about, is there like a list of these are the top breeders in the United States for ball pythons or something like that?
No, nothing official. There's I don't know, tell me guys in the audience, there's 4, 5, 6 that are like the industry trendsetters, and that they're like the Yankees, love them or hate them. Everybody knows them. Everybody's got an opinion on them, and they set the standard.
Yeah.
Then there's probably 10 or 20 in the next tier that probably half of those are in Florida and they're in kind of in my network. And again, I'm biased because I know them. And then not quite everybody else. Then there's the established breeders that I still wouldn't even include myself in that category, that have been at it for 4 or 5 years. And then there's a whole swath of people that are just getting going in the under 5 year kind of thing. Yeah, Dan. So Danny, yeah, he's totally joking. He's like, "Don't you come to Gettysburg now, Danny."
I figured that was a joke.
It's a total joke, and it fits Danny just absolutely perfectly. No, no, Joe. It's funny. It's great having you on for your perspective, because sometimes there's things where I'm like, "Oh yeah, I would have never even thought of that." No, there's not a bit of it. It stands out in my mind that there's 2 people that have actually like actively tried to like dump on me at shows. And I'm like, 2 out of all the vendors, all the shows I've ever done. And then, immediately when I ask somebody, I'm like, what was up with that dude? And they're like, screw him. Universally, screw that guy. Oh, okay, fine. Done with him,
Pokemon cards.
Yeah, Miguel says he thought I was transitioning into a Pokemon dealer. I'm not. We're not doing that. I will still be available by internet and plane flight. So it's a good world. We'll be all right.
And just to say this as well, we are continuing with Proper Cup of Joe.
Yeah. We got to. Now I did not factor in the time change, so I'm it's going to be even an hour earlier for me. That's okay. That's all right. If nothing else, I am proud to say, if nothing else, I am determined and stubborn. Like, I was thinking a little bit last night, like, I think my Tuesday night podcast is solid, and I think it's accomplished a lot, but really when people are like, well, how'd you do it? I just kept doing it. I just didn't quit. That's all. I was too dumb to quit. Like, I wasn't. So I'm okay with keeping it going. Yeah, we definitely will keep it going. As much as I would love to show prep in person with Joe, we don't. So there's no need for it not to keep going.
Right. Yeah.
So, hey, in the audience, this is all serious and we don't have to dive into it here, but if anybody has experience moving collections, I know that Snakes from the Memories just did. I'll be definitely getting in touch with Jeremy and Holly. And I talked to Jeremy Baud earlier this week and picked his brain. I feel pretty confident on getting my animals there just fine. My biggest pain point right now is an incubator full of eggs. I'm not sure. I'm going to delay moving the eggs, I think, until the last moment that I can. I was going to make a run with some eggs on this trip, and I'm not quite ready to. I had a plan, and then I talked to some people, and Joe, this is really, really nerdy. I could keep the eggs at temperature. I've got that part figured out. A mobile incubator I have figured out. That's no problem. I can take care of that. It's the vibrations and tearing the embryo from either the inside wall of the egg or tearing it from its veins that scares me. so that's really what I'm concerned about. And I don't know. I know there's some local options. I could leave them and then have them shipped, but I still have to move them across town. I still have to move them. I don't know.
What is the major issues involved with doing that? I mean, do they have to be, I guess they have to be a certain
We want,
temperature and they're more delicate than,
yeah.
yeah.
And especially I think the eggs that are further along in development are probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's the newest hatched or the newest laid eggs, which I actually have quite a few of, that are not developed. And if you just imagined a dime sized embryo that is just shaking with the
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
gyrations of a
sense. Yeah.
vehicle. It's very, very delicate, and it just concerns me. And I hate to boil things down to money, but it's a whole lot of money. It's a significant part of my inventory coming up. And Lorga says there's incubators that connect. Yeah, I got the incubator figured down. Tradesman, so Tito, I was thinking of, Tito says put down some memory foam mattresses. Yeah, Kelly thought that the foam egg crates were the answer. And I've got it's a really kind of a funny thing, Joe. When you ship a ball python, you pack it with, like, the stuffing that comes in like stuffed animals.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Us ball python shippers, we buy that stuff like a lot. We need that.
Yeah.
So, and then me being the cheap dude that I am, I'm like, well, price per ounce, I could get it down pretty cheap. So I actually have 30 pounds of stuffing that will last me literally a decade.
Okay.
So thinking of using that and wrapping the boxes in that, putting them in the mobile incubator, and then setting the incubator on like egg carton foam. Chris at being fluff, we're all, he knows what I'm talking about. The bag of fluff is literally nearly the size of me. Like I could fit in that bag. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to move those eggs and just take a shot, jump in, and make it happen. And here is what I think though too, and this plays into the philosophy of the industry. Every year I'm going to be advancing genetically beyond where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. So the time to take a threatening risk
with your snakes.
Yeah, with the snakes. Me too. Yeah, I'm going to be. Yeah, I will be in 5 years. I'll be the Hulk. And I'll have
well, it's just such a part of you. That's why.
Right. I'm really known for my pecs. Really, when people are like, "What defines Adam?" And they're like, "His pecs, man. They're solid." So I got to figure out.
So you're going to be advancing genetically over the next few years,
right?
With your snakes.
So as scary as it is, this moment is always the best time to take the risk, because anytime in the future, I'm going to have more to lose.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
The animals I'm producing with 3 genes this year, I'll be able to put them to use and produce animals with 6 genes in the future. So if I'm going to take a risk of losing the clutches, as bad as it sounds, now is the time to do it, because in the future, it's just going to be a bigger loss.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, why? So why so quickly right now, though? Can you wait for these eggs to hatch?
I can. Some of it's the timing of the move. We have a lot of moving pieces at play. So we have Charlie's school to consider. We have to sell this house. The realtor wants the snakes out of the house to be able to sell the house, which I can like or not like that decision. But the fact is, it's this lady's job to get us our money. So, so I'm following her lead. So there is a bit of an urgency. And then I keep bringing up the Oregon Trail for some reason, but not to get all Oregon Trail on this, but winter's coming up there, and I need to have the operation settled by before winter, because first of the harshness of the winter, but secondly, winter coincides with breeding season, and change and a new surrounding will have breeding season implications as well. So the sooner I can get the snakes settled up there, the better chance I'll have of preserving my upcoming breeding season.
Yeah,
So
if you're just joining us, Adam is moving to Minnesota. So there was another comment.
yeah,
Oh, is
Jeremy
Adam moving?
Warfel is in. Warfel is who hosted the barbecue in Pennsylvania that
Okay.
I got to go to
So
last month.
that was a comment a couple of episodes ago that like Florida is a rough place regulatory place to breed
Correct.
reptiles, and PA is not. It doesn't have many regulations. How about Minnesota? What's that like?
Statewide, I actually am doing my homework to check on local municipalities. I actually went to put in an offer on a house yesterday, and the realtor actually was like, "Let me check with town hall and make sure there's no regulatory issues that
Oh,
you're
okay.
gonna come against." Yeah, Creative Genetics says let's talk about the generator thing too. So
That was a good question of mine as well. Yeah.
yeah, but the municipality, so statewide in Minnesota, the only regulations are that you may not import, export, or trade in threatened or endangered species. And you may not collect threatened or endangered species in Minnesota, of which there's only two, reptile or amphibian species. So I learned this yesterday, but they're wide open. You can have, there's no mention of venomous, non-venomous.
Okay.
And you know, the realtor was concerned, but I'm like, hey, you got Petco's there, you got pet supermarkets, you got ball pythons, pal. Like, there's no, like, stop with it. Like, the regulation would be more business out of home kind of thing, but this day and age, there's no you know, everybody runs businesses from home, so I'm not worried about that. I think it'll be fine. And I got thinking about it. It's really not the realtor's business. He can advise me, but it's not his business. So you can't say I'm not going to sell you a home because of your intention to run a business. It's my job to figure out where the business goes. So I don't see that as an issue. He's just an interesting a guy that's interested and nice. Yeah, Keith asked about a generator. So first, I do own a generator. Second, the house that we're targeting I put a verbal offer in on and asked. It took a little bit of a creative offer because of the circumstance of needing to sell this house to get to that house. Blah blah blah. I won't bore you with all that, but that house is electrical use neutral. They haven't had an electric bill in over 2 years there because of the solar power panels that they run. So I'm really excited about that. That avoids power outages and that kind of thing. Also, the heating there in Minnesota, they don't use electric for heat. I'll use it for the snake room, but there's I think it's a natural gas blower, but it's gas powered. So much less reliance on electricity. I'll use it for the snakes, but generally for heating in that cold winter, they're not relying on electricity there.
Okay. Gotcha. Wow. I mean, this is, it's going to be quite a move, new surroundings, new market, fun times. I'm a little bit jealous. Not that I'm a very restless person. I like to try new things, and I've been in Florida since 2012. And before that, I moved, I think, almost every year of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just one, even if it was in the same city, I was moving to another part of the city. So, and then when I got here, I really just settled and just stayed. But like when you say, wow, when you talk about moving to a new place, it like gets that feeling going in me again. Like, oh, I'd like to try like a new place again. I'd like to go to a place and try it, you know?
I have that excitement, and I'll just speak for myself. Where we live now is fine. It's great. Actually, the schools are rated #1 in Florida, in the state, in St. Johns County. There's just no soul. There's no texture. There's no neighborhood pub. There's no you know, so-and-so that's been cooking at that place for 20 years. 20 years ago, this was a forest and a swamp. Like, there's not that depth of character. And it looks, you know,
I mean, that's what I experienced when I moved down in 2012. And even the growth of the area where I am has not been that, you know, that kind of character. It's
Right.
been,
Yeah.
let's put in a storage unit here and a car wash and a chicken fun or whatever. There's like
Yeah,
5 chicken
yeah.
shops
A
over here.
Zaxby's. Yeah, it's just like, so I don't know, maybe that's just the way, and maybe what I'm thinking of doesn't exist anymore, but I think it does. So where we're looking is a town called Northfield. It's in the suburbs of Minneapolis, but it's a college town. There's 2 colleges. And the town lies right in between the 2 colleges. So it's 40 minutes from the airport in Minneapolis. And it has that sort of small town but college town feel. It's been there a long time, all that kind of stuff. So looking forward to checking it out, and there'll be a whole lot more to come on that topic for sure.
Cool.
So
well,
anyhow, big stuff.
Yeah, we're bumping up against the hour here. I mean,
Dude, Joe, are you able to see the viewers right now?
The viewers, how many viewers? No,
42, man. We got 42 people. Yeah,
smokes.
I'm telling you, man, you're making a splash. Hey, I don't want to put you on the spot. I have an extra bed. The room's paid for, wouldn't cost you a thing. If you want to come and have a little Daytona vacation and see the max of what our industry is, on the weekend of August 18th. And so the 18th is a Friday. I'll get into Daytona that Friday. And I have the room for 2 nights. We're staying at the Hilton right on Daytona Beach. It's paid for.
Okay.
And you could come. Obviously, Chelsea's very welcome as well. But you guys are welcome. And you could come see like the height, in my opinion, of our industry on this. Like, you'll actually get ruined because you'll go to another local show and you'll be like, what? Why would anybody do this after Daytona? But it'd be cool. So you're more than welcome. I'm not putting you on the spot, but you're more than welcome to come check it out. And
I'll
come
check
see
what I got going on. I'll check what I got going on. That sounds good.
Yeah. And Brandon says we got to meet up. Yeah, definitely, Brandon. Let's meet up in Daytona. We missed each other last year, but I think that was on me. I think you were coming to the show Sunday, and then Sunday I wanted nothing but to get home after my behavior Saturday night. So, but I'll be working this year, so I have to stay both days, Saturday and Sunday. I'll be vending. But you're more than welcome. There's space, there's a bed, it's all paid for. Come hang out, and we'll have a fun time. Yeah, Danny says there might be a midnight visit from Adam. Yeah, I that's what I'm kind of known for, is weird late night. And all right, we're out of here. Joe, what do you, on that puts a whole new spin on the Joe Mance topic, right? Joe, take us home, man, and I'll hit the music when you say so.
Again, another great conversation. Loved it. It was fantastic. And so many great comments, engaging, really cool. Thank you so much, and have a great week. Well, I won't see you next week, but I'll see you into Adam will be here. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everybody. See ya. Lots of lag today. We're still on.